Good morning, good evening, and good night to everyone on the internet, every single one of you. Whether you're listening on the podcast or on YouTube, this is Lancing with myself, with me, Steve D from Tin Star Games, talking about being a freelance creator and game designer when you're low on spoons and low on cash or low on whatever you might be low on. Let's talk today about the big elephant in the room. Actually, it's not really an elephant because we're acknowledging it all the time. It is imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is something we talk about all the time, and in fact, we probably talk about it a little bit too much, or rather, we talk about it in the wrong way. When people get ideas in their head, it works, like a hammer. Everything you see is a nail. Imposter syndrome is a buzzword, is what I'm trying to say. And we often apply it where it doesn't actually apply. So imposter syndrome actually refers to the idea about where you're already doing something and then it still doesn't feel like you belong or should be doing that something. And because you sort of seem to have stepped up very quickly into a world without any particular initiation ritual or something to convey on you the ability you possess. Now, that's not the same as necessarily minimizing your experience or seeing yourself through a negative lens. It's not the same as going, well, I can't do that because I haven't got enough experience. That's putting yourself down based on qualifying your qualifying labeling, right? You're labeling yourself as something else. In other words, imposter syndrome refers to something very specific, and all these other things I'm talking about are different kinds of mental cognitive distortions. And the reason I say this is that if you don't understand exactly what kind of cognitive distortions you are experiencing, you won't be able to fix them. And you'll label them all as imposter syndrome, and they won't get fixed because you're not treating them the right way. You need to understand exactly about the traps your mind is building. Now, they're all basically a kind of anxiety. They're all a kind of distortion that happens through anxiety. And it's all quite well understood through the nature and study of cognitive behavior and there are other sorts of schema theory, and there's other sorts of labels of this kind of theory, but they're all about basically understanding the way that your brain sets up subconscious traps for you that you can't escape from them. It doesn't matter how much work you do, you still won't feel like you've qualified because your brain has set up this limit to you. And you can say, well, I will be qualified when I do that, and then you'll get there and you go, well, that doesn't really count because I'll minimize my achievements, right? So in the sense of the overall term of imposter syndrome, it's all about the same way of attacking yourself and creating a sense that you are small or negative or don't count or are bad. But there's actually specific distortions that I'm talking about. It's different about whether you're going like, I don't feel I deserve this versus that thing didn't count, or if you're shifting the goalposts on success. These are very specific, different cognitive things that you are doing, and knowing which one is which will help you untangle which one you are doing, and then you can stop. That is to say, there are therapies that work against all of them. But you know what is really all of this about is psychology, right? This is something that a psychologist, a counselor, a psychiatrist even can help you with. It is not something necessarily that a creative guidance person can help you with. It's not to say we haven't struggled and we shouldn't talk about these things together, but you need to think about hitting your problem with the right solution. Everything, is not everything crosses over. If you've got a problem that's philosophical, you don't talk about it to the psychologist, right? If you've got a psychological problem, the psychologist deals with it. If you've got a physical body problem, you talk to the doctor about it, your GP or something. If you have a philosophical problem, you tackle it philosophically. If you have a problem about creative process, you talk to a fellow creator or a creative mentor. You don't ask one person to help with the other. Of course, we can advise you on what we did in that situation, but what we can say is that person over there helped, all right? Respect specific expertise. Figure out what your problems are and hit them with exactly the right thing. It might take a while to find that right thing, but don't just assume that everyone can help you with everything. If you have a lot of imposter syndrome, it's because you have cognitive distortions that affect how you perceive reality, and the best person on earth to help you with that is someone trained in how humans think. A psychologist, a psychiatrist, a counselor, someone like that. That's the thing you need to hit. And this is a really important truth, because a lot of the time people are struggling to be an artist without realizing that to get to be an artist, they might actually have to be less depressed and less anxious first. I'm not saying you should throw everything away and give up. I'm saying that the things you might be reaching for right now might not be attainable or possible exactly because there's other huge barriers in your way, right? You're trying to run before you can walk. And you have to go and find that walking coach. And that walking coach might be a psychologist, all right? Doesn't mean you can't pursue your art at the same time, but you need the right help for the right problem. If you're struggling a lot with these kind of cognitive distortions, if you feel like you don't qualify, or if you are an imposter, or, that your achievements don't matter, or, whatever kind of barrier it is that minimizes or sets you back or bars you, you need help to figure out exactly what they are so you can figure out exactly how to beat them, and that means a professional. So go find one. I know it costs money. I know I speak from a position of privilege in that regard because I have just enough money to pay for a psychologist, but there are ways you can get them for free. There are places that can provide these sort of things. Counselling on the phone, counselling centres are available in most Australian cities, and online and on the phone for free or cheap, and these things can be available to you. You can also read things online, you can talk to other people, but again, focus, right? If it's an imposter syndrome thing, focus on that, solve that before you start figuring out what's the next step in my artistic career. Obviously these things are related, but if you can pick them out, you can treat them with exactly the thing they need. Drill down, get that sucker, and then you can move on to better and better things. That's the message for today. Take it to heart, look after yourself. Till next time, I've been Steve D. This has been Lancing with myself, and you should be good, play games, pat dogs, and have fun.